Isn't it fun to crochet a blanket that you can use for picnics, on a cozy night when watching TV? Well, I have the perfect flowery blanket for you. Look at this, all different colors. How fun is that? So the blanket starts with flower granny squares that are crocheted, but they start from the middle out. So first, those three are crocheted, and then the next round with the yellow background, and then the next round with the blue background, and then the next round we have with the orange background, and then we break that pattern with some regular granny squares, just nothing special about them. They're just gonna have a different center every other square, which are actually two tiny squares per one big square. And then we have another row with pink background and a wavy border. So the blanket goes up to my neck, and it's so much fun. Let's crochet together. Wrap the end of the tail around your middle finger. Bring the tail in front of your working yarn. With your crochet hook, go under the tail, grab your working yarn, and chain 2. This will count as the first half double crochet, and into that ring going around both threads of the yarn we'll do 7 half double crochet. So yarn over one time, draw a loop and pull through all the loops. So we'll do this 7 times, and we'll have a total of 8 stitches in that ring. When you reach the end, pull the tail and then go back to that first stitch. You can even go into that space between the stitches and do a slip stitch there, and then chain 1 to secure that stitch. Pull a longer end. Now you can really pull the middle of your ring and cut this yarn off. I usually do a knot here with both ends so I can secure those ends together, or you can weave them in the back. It's up to you, but then I'll carry them behind my stitches, so I'll hide and I'll weave in at the end. Grab your next color, do a slip knot there so that the tail is able to move, and there we go. Insert your hook, and going into that stitch that's behind our final stitch here, go into that stitch and do a single crochet, and then chain 1. This will count as a double crochet, and we will have 3 double crochets crocheted together. So since we have 1 already, the chain we do count, we'll have 2 more double crochets, and we'll carry those ends together as well behind it. So here is the first one, but only halfway through we'll keep the loop, and then the third one, and then we'll keep the loop as well here, and then we'll crochet those 3 together and then chain 2. And into that each stitch we'll have a group of 3 double crochets together. So we'll go and do 3 double crochets into the next stitch. 2, 3. We'll crochet them together and then chain 2, and we'll repeat that for a total of 8 petals around the middle of the circle. When you reach the last stitch here, it will be a little bit tighter, but you just go through it and just do your 3 double crochets in there. It's just that last stitch, because we tightened the slip stitch there, made it a little bit harder to get in, but chain 2, and then going back at the top of the petal here into that first stitch we did, we'll do a slip stitch there, and then chain 1 to secure it and cut. Tighten your stitch, flatten your flower, count your petals, there are 8, and then grab your next color. I'll do blue. And in the whole blanket, I used colors. I was running out of colors. I used leftovers. So weaving the end of your tail just loosely through the stitches so you don't have to think about it all the way. Well, you can cut off the end too. So there. Get your new yarn, do a slip knot again, making sure that tail is able to move so you can tighten your stitch. Pick anywhere you want, and we'll start with a single crochet again. And now that you're here with a single crocheted tail, you can tighten that stitch. That's what was the whole idea behind it. And again, you can gently weave it in as well here, just so you don't forget about it, to weave it as you go. And there. So they're already in few of the loops, and then we'll put stitches on top and you don't even have to weave anything at the end. So here we'll chain 2, and then we'll do 2 more double crochets into that side. We're working now on the sides of the flower, making it into a square. So I'm right here. I did the first 3 double crochets. Now I'm going to do the corner, which is a 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets into the same chain space. And now we are moving to the side again, and we don't do any chains or anything, we just do 3 double crochets. And we'll keep repeating that for the other corners and sides. And we'll have a corner again, and I'll meet you right here. When you reach the end, go at the top of the last stitch from the beginning and do a slip stitch. I chain 1, so I secure it, then cut it off, and then again I go and I just pull it through few of the loops here in the back, so when I start connecting my pieces, I have a really clean edge and I don't have to think about it. I'll just immediately weave it into the stitches. Yeah, it does take a few seconds, but it's such a relief. So when I go here now, and I can completely cut those ends, and look how clean it is. And if you consistently do that, you'll have no ends to weave in or snip any ends. So here are my pieces, and I will start from this end. I'll go up to the side down on this piece, and then when I come back, I'll go to the next piece and do the same thing down, and then go this way as well. And then we'll have 1 row of just clusters of 3 double crochets all the way till the end. And this is the middle of the blanket, the 3 pieces that I make into a rectangle to start with. So I picked a different color for a background to connect those pieces together. So these are the initial 3, and then the next row, it has yellow background, and it goes around those middle 3. So everything builds on the previous round, starting with that rectangle. And I did 3 more rows after the middle, and then that little break here, and then 1 more row of these squares, and then we have a border. All right, we start again with a slip knot here. We'll go into that first chain space here on the corner, and we'll do a single crochet. We'll pull that knot and tighten it, carry it behind the stitches, chain 2, and this will have 3 double crochets, and the chain is also considered a double crochet, so we just actually did just 2. And into those spaces we'll have 3 double crochets only till we reach the corner. When we reach the corner, we again have 3 double crochets and chain 2. That first granny square for each round will start like this, but with the next rows we'll just have to connect that corner to the previous round. That's going to be the difference, but for the initial 3 in the middle, We just have to go around them. And we'll do the same thing till we get to that corner. So here I made it to the corner and I'll stop only at the 3 double crochets. So I need to attach now the next piece. And here we'll chain 2. And then we'll start with the corner again with 3 double crochets. Then with our hook, we'll go into the space between the granny clusters of the previous piece and we'll just grab our working yarn and do a slip stitch there, but loosely. And we'll continue into the next space of the new granny square and we'll do 3 double crochets again. And just like this, we'll go into the next space. We'll grab our working yarn, do a slip stitch, and we'll work again here. And we are going back again. Here's the whole side. So here we'll do 3 double crochets. And then we'll chain 1 before we connect to the other piece. So now we'll connect here. We'll do a slip stitch. And then again, chain 1. So there's my slip stitch. Oops. Slip stitch. Chain 1. And go back and do the rest of the corner with 3 double crochets. And we keep going all the way around till we get here. So we made it till the end, and if we want to attach the new piece, we're gonna do again the same thing. We'll chain 2 and we'll move to this corner. But imagine we are done with our round and now we're gonna have to close that row that stayed open the whole time. We're just gonna do 2 chains here. Yeah, 2 chains, and then we'll finish that corner with 3 double crochets. And then we'll do the next spaces with 3 double crochets here, just like this. And now that we're gonna reach the corner, we're just gonna have to finish those corners with 3 double crochets. And chain 1. And into that space we have here, the chain 2 space, we're gonna do a single crochet. And then we'll chain 1 again, and then we'll move to the next corner. And we'll do 3 double crochets again. And then those 2 spaces, we're gonna just do regular 3 double crochets. And then we are reaching the initial corner, which will be 3 double crochets and 2 chains, because we're always trying to match everything we do. And there we go. Chain 2, and I do a slip stitch at the top of that chain and chain 1 to secure it, and I'm done. So when it's time for the new color, we're gonna start again from this corner. We're gonna go up here. We're gonna come here. This piece we're gonna connect to this piece, and this piece will connect to this one. So let's get to it. Start again with this corner, and with only 3 double crochets here, and we'll meet here at the top. I did my 3 double crochets, chain 1, grab the middle here of the corner, draw a slip stitch, and then chain 1, and then go back into the same corner and do 3 more double crochets. And then we keep connecting both pieces here with a slip stitch. So there, I did my 3 double crochets, and I'll do 1 chain here. Then I'm gonna go across to that piece over here, the corner of it, and I'll do a slip stitch here. And then chain 1. And then continue with the rest of the corner. And then 3 double crochets. and I'll go down this side up to here so I can start with my new piece. So here I'm at the corner. I'll draw my loop a little bit longer. So I'll come here at that corner of this piece. So over here, I'll insert my hook and grab my loop, pull it all the way up there, and then do a single crochet here without tightening that stitch too much. And then chain one to give it a little bit more space, and then finish my corner and go all the way down that side. And here all the sides are ready. So now it's time for that green break of the blanket. So that green line. These are just regular granny squares, but with a different middle. So all these middles are crocheted separately, even the green ones. They are separate, and then used only a green row around them to connect to each other and to the main blanket. So here's how we're gonna do the middle. So wrap the end of your tail around your middle finger and grab the working yarn and chain two. Then 2 double crochets into the same ring again. Or you can start with a chain 4 instead of a ring, but you're going to have a tiny hole if you make it too loose. So now we have 3 double crochets. We do count the first chain as double crochet, chain 2, 3 more double crochets, and then chain 2 again. And we'll do this for a total of 4 groups of granny clusters. And I'll meet you there. All right, so here is the first middle. We'll do the same thing with the green, so you can alternate them. So there. Now we're gonna have to connect them to our main blanket. And I'll start with the blue one. We do exactly what we did with the pink, but with the green. So slip knot again, and then we'll start from the corner. Here our corners are much closer to each other, so we don't have to make that many clusters. We are going into the next cluster here, and the corner will be 3 double crochets and chain 1, and then connect to the main piece here with a slip stitch and the next 3 double crochets, and then we go into the space from the other piece and then we connect. And we'll do the same thing when we get to the corner again. We'll do connect, finish your corner. We're not gonna chain here because we don't want those big gaps there. Then we are gonna go into that corner here and we'll do only 3 double crochets because we'll be connecting to the next piece. Here we will do 2 double crochets and then we'll get the next center. You don't have to make them green. You can do all different colors at each piece. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll do 3 double crochets here. We'll connect to the middle. And then again, 3 double crochets. And we're gonna have to grab that center here. And I do go through the green as well and the pink, so it does not shift too much, that piece. And here I can make chain so it can give me more space. And then we'll keep going with the rest of the piece. 3 double crochets here. We'll go into that space here and then 3 double crochets into the corner. We will chain here 1 and we'll go into that piece across. So we'll go into that space, into that corner, and do slip stitch and chain 1 and then finish that piece. And when we connect the next little piece, we will be going into the opposite corner like we did here at the center. And there we end up with 3 double crochets and chain 2 so we can connect to the next one. So, and then when we connect that piece over here, we'll go into that space. Or you can connect them the way you prefer, your own way. And then we'll go back again and do a row of granny clusters again like we did, because this row is unfinished. And that's how we go. We keep going, we keep going, we keep going from here all around the blanket. And let's do the border. I'm using the same border I made into that blanket. I'll leave link here at the corner. So start with your next color. I decided to go with purple so I can make it like a picture frame. I really liked it. So we're going to be working into the stitches between the granny clusters. So over here into that stitch, we're going to do a slip stitch. And then into the corner, so I started at the one spot before the corner. So into that corner, we'll do 7 double crochets. So after doing 7 double crochets, we'll go into that space between the granny clusters, but into the stitch, and we'll do a single crochet. And then we'll go into the next stitch between the granny clusters, and we'll do another 7 double crochets here. And that's how we're going to be alternating 7 double crochets and a single crochet. And this is all between the granny clusters. So we literally don't even have to count because it's already pre-counted for us. So there we go, 4, 3, 7. And then over here, we'll do a single crochet. And then we keep going. When you reach here at the connection spot, you're going to have to pick a loop. So make sure you pick a nice loop here so you don't have a huge gap. Do not go into the gap because you're just going to make this hole look bigger. And there we are. We'll do this till the end of the whole blanket. So it's going to keep repeating the same thing. And there we go. We have 1 single crochet here. And that's how it's gonna go. Once you reach again till the end, you just cut your yarn off. And then for the next row, you have to flip your blanket. The last row will be worked on the back of the blanket. So grab your next color. And we're just gonna start from that side, from the back side of your blanket. So this is the front, this is the pretty side. We're gonna be working on that side with all the ends and weave-ins. So this time you can either work into the back post completely, but I realized that when working into that stitch, into these holes, it made my stitches hide better. So I will go into that loop here between the stitches and do a single crochet. You can again hide your tail. And then chain 2, because we're doing double crochets. Tighten your tail. And then yarn over for the next double crochet and go behind that stitch here. So if you look at the stitch, these little 2 wings here we have, the wings, you're gonna go inside the holes and do a double crochet. And we just keep doing that. You see here? This will be our border. And we're gonna move from shell to shell just like this. There, here's the 7th into that cluster, and then we just go into the next one here, just like that. Nothing special. Even the corners, we're just gonna be moving through all the stitches, but through their wings, if you wanna call them like that. And when you look in the front, that stitch here is actually hiding under the top of it, and it helps it flip it over and look 3D. So This is how you can go through the posts, through the whole post here, but it will look, you can see the other color. But this way, they're somehow camouflaged there. They're hidden in that top stitch. And that's the end of it. You just slip stitch to the beginning and you're all done. Make sure you watch the other sunburst blanket I have if you want to see the edge one more time, or see how to connect granny squares with different size of stitches. In that other blanket I have extended double crochets, single crochets, and all different stitches here at the connection spot. And of course it's a sunburst design. But for these plain flowers and for this happy blanket of all your scrap yarn, that's a very nice way of using it all. And here is the finished edge as well. So there you can see they're pretty much hidden. They peek a little bit, but it's not a big deal. All these happy colors got together. I got rid of a lot of weird colors I had, and you can even see I have like 3 different types of orange, but it was so much fun making this blanket. And definitely you can use all the scraps of your yarn. That's literally is a scrap blanket, because I do not have any more of that pink. I don't have any more of one of the yellows that I used, because there are 2 different yellows. There are 3 different oranges. You can see a little bit of a neon orange here. It's so much fun. And you can see this muted orange. Oh my gosh, I got all my yarn. And it was so much fun crocheting this nice little spring summer blanket of granny squares. Happy crocheting. Catch you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe and like.